Whoa, whoa, Slammiversary, third year in a row. The world spins round to the right, they say, but this Slammiversary, Impact is going the other way. This time round, as the focus going into Impact's big summer show isn't debutants coming out of WWE. This time, they are rolling back the years. A 60-second commercial featured reigning champ Josh Alexander looking in a box labeled TNA Wrestling, getting flashbacks of Impact players from years gone by. Now, I have combed through this 1-minute trailer to track all the teased TNAers, and now I'll take their temperature on how likely they are to turn up in Tennessee. Let's see who's hot, lukewarm, or cold for a total non-stop assembly. Now, we should start with a man who was very much excommunicated from the company that he created, Jeff Jarrett. Now, the trailer shows him a couple of times. He's parading around as champion, braining Hulk Hogan with a guitar in '02, giving country star Toby Keith a shove, getting terrorized by the Tennessee Titans. Jeff Jarrett, even in his absence, is TNA, for better or for worse. He chalked up 6 NWA title reigns and was omnipresent throughout the bulk of the company's journey. Double J is, surprisingly, Double H, Double O, Double T to show up at Slammiversary. The first Queen of the Mountain match is taking place, so some representation from the man behind the King of the Mountain would give it a bit of gravitas. Now, Jarrett has recently taken a new role within WWE, which, in normal times, would stop such forbidden door folly from taking place. However, these are not normal times. Mickie James, as Impact Knockouts champion, was permitted to play in the Royal Rumble. And I think there could be a favour or two due by WWE, which is why Jarrett's mercury has risen on our scale. Who else could take advantage of a kinship between Impact and the E? Maybe we'll find out later. A fellow WWE Hall of Famer got a fair bit of coverage in the 60-second Slammiversary showcase that I saw, that being Kurt Angle. He had a roller coaster of a run in TNA Wrestling, and we see him headbutting Samoa Joe in his debut, hitting a moonsault off the cage. We also hear his lawsuit-safe catchphrase, "It's damn real." Angle's exit from WWE, citing health concerns, was one that TNA were keen to capitalize on. He won all the belts at the same time, and had he not been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2017, he'd have actually spent longer as a TNA star than he did as a WWE one. Now, despite the nods in the trailer, Kurt Angle is cold on our scale. You see, Angle has just come off double knee surgery and is resting up at home. I cannot see him making the trip to Nashville and walking down that ramp for the show. No doubt he will be honored in some form on the night, but nobody is getting put in an ankle lock on the weekend. At least, not one from Kurt Angle. Let's talk about the man who raised the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship at the conclusion of the first ever NWA TNA event. I'm talking the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. The very moment was captured where he won the title in the trailer, with Steamboat raising our Ken's hand aloft after winning the gauntlet for the gold. Now, he has since returned to Impact Wrestling, looking like he's been performing in an off-Broadway version of The Expendables, a gnarled veteran just looking for a fight. Shamrock punches no higher than the middle of our mercury, though, on our scale. He is lukewarm for an Impact return. He's not currently in a rush to mix it up in wrestling again. He told me on the Cultaholic podcast that he hated doing crowdless matches. The Monsters Ball match between old rivals Sami Callihan and Moose provides an impetus for a Shamrock run-in with the crowd present, should he fancy it though. What about the monster who first went to the Monsters Ball? Let's talk about a bit. Now, he's shown a couple of times in this trailer as well. On one occasion, being put through a burning table, just like the good old days, eh? Chris and Joseph Park have blood-stained fingerprints throughout TNA's history books. From hardcore nightmare matches to wild asylum blackmail banter to that time he popped his finger through Hogan's ring. There's been a lot of depth to this. I actually think he's registering hot on our scale, with a monstrous ball match on the show, as previously stated, and with Abyss's old rival Eric Young challenging for the world title in the main event. There's certainly some scope for an appearance, and I know he does indeed work as a producer for WWE right now, but for similar reasons to Jeff Jarrett being chosen to walk through the forbidden door, I think after the Hardcore Country Rumble run-in, he would be willing, under their carefully controlled circumstances, to let the monster walk again at Slammiversary. Now, it's a head-scratcher, isn't it, this whole WWE and Impact thing, because so far I've mentioned 2 WWE guys who are looking like they could be about to get crazy in the asylum. Now, would AEW be up for doing the same, despite their special relationship with Impact being wrapped up a little while ago? Well, let's look at a few all-elite competitors who did previously compete for TNA. We will start with Jeff Hardy. Now, we do see Jeff going full Jeff Hardy in the trailer, dives off of the stage onto Abyss, among other things. Now, during his time in TNA, he became a multi-time world champion. He was the support act to Matt Hardy's broken brilliance. It wasn't all roses for Brother Nero, though. He got stuck on the top of a big red cage. He swapped the title belt for a sleep paralysis demon at one point. He had a weird heel turn orchestrated by Hulk Hogan and that thing at Victory Road that time. Jeff Hardy is cold, right? Despite all of this. As we've reported at Cultaholic this week, Jeff Hardy has other, more legal issues to focus on. He's not going to be part of Slammiversary this weekend. I'm putting that there now. Now, AEW lad CM Punk also showed up in the trailer. He had just the briefest flash of time in Impact, and TNA did the best in the world. Almost as brief a flash as in his run in the company was he on the trailer. A couple of seconds and he was there. He had about 20 matches in total as part of Raven's Gathering, one of Raven's flunkies alongside Julio De Niro. There's no real TNA legacy for Punk, which is why he's registering cold on our thermometer for an appearance. Compared to what he's done before and since, wasn't that big a run for him in TNA. Plus, there's the small matter of surgery rehab, which means that Punk's mercury is as cold as the frozen peas on his metatarsals. How about the leader of The Gathering, though? Could he be at The Gathering? Raven rocking up in Nashville and stealing the NWA title in NWA TNA is a moment that punches through all those classic TNA trailers, as it very much does with this one. Plus, we get the shot of Raven's blood-splattered barbershop barbarism orchestrated by the sinister Sinister Minister Jim Mitchell. There you go, Tom. I doubt he's getting a barber's license soon. They hit hard reset a few times on Raven, didn't they? They gave him his own gimmick match in the Clockwork Orange House of Fun. He was always defaulting back to cult leader of some sort. Remember Serotonin? You had to flog your memory to remember the faction where Raven would flog Frankie Kazarian. Like his former subordinate CM Punk, Raven flies cold on our scale because, like his former subordinate CM Punk, he's got surgical matters that he's focusing on. A replacement knee will keep Raven in effect from Slammiversary in person. Will we see him nevermore? Well, you never say never more. Do we say never to the truth? Now, a shot of Ron Killings in the trailer certainly got the cogs turning, teasing the 2-time NWA World Champion appearing at Slammiversary. TNA's Ron Killings and WWE's R-Truth feel like different people, though. Truth settling into the comedic role incredibly well in the E-Machine, far removed from the self-proclaimed suntan Superman in the early noughties. Now, the truth is the temperature shows cold for a Killings appearance. I think WWE, if they open that forbidden door, it'll be for a select number. Now, WWE would be keen to control the narrative of whoever appears at Slammiversary. I just don't see Killings doing the R-Truth thing on an Impact show, you know? Nor do I see a glorious return to form for Bobby Roode at Slammiversary. Now, we got a shot of Beer Money on the ramp, motorized beer cooler by their side. This was the hybrid team that just grabbed people's attention and became greater than the sum of their parts. James Storm's brief WWE run ended when word of a Beer Money reunion was floated in Impact. However, before any T's could be crossed and I's could be dotted, the money had gone to NXT, leaving the beer alone in Impact. The timing sucked, but both would be up for a reunion. However, like the booze in their cooler scooter, a beer money reunion is reading cold. Like with R-Truth, WWE would want their versions of these guys on Impact's product, I genuinely believe. So putting him back with an old tag partner and an old gimmick, which is very different to what he's currently doing, I don't think would fly for the Fed, at least in my opinion. All isn't lost though. What if we wind the clock back further? Before the money had been made and the buds had been brewed, we were tracking America's Most Wanted. Wildcat Chris Harris and Cowboy James Storm were NWA TNA's first homegrown tag team, winning a tournament to become the champs 13 weeks into the company's origin. We get a brief shot of Harris and Storm heading down the ramp that suggests that they could be back seeking justice this weekend. The verdict is in on America's Most Wanted. They are lukewarm on the scale right now. There's an ideal spot for Harris and Storm in the Impact Originals versus Honor No More match. And whilst Wildcat has moved over to training talent these days, Harris and Storm did team up just recently on an indie show. Could they possibly be shaking off some cobwebs ahead of the weekend? We will find the defendants this weekend. They may not be the only total non-stop action faction attraction at this show this weekend, because the beautiful people were also teased in the teaser. Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, and Madison Rayne, alright, and Lacey Von Erich, I guess, were the first true antagonist gang of the Knockouts division. Numerous rebrands, relaunches, and rescinded friendships along the way, and they still remain part of a team. Oh, and cute Kip for a bit as well. I don't see the pigeons being let loose here, though. They are cold on the thermometer. Madison Rayne, as one half of the Influence now, is very much doing her own thing and has a storyline payoff with Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary coming up soon. An appearance by NWA commentator Velvet Sky and NWA and former ROH star Angelina Love seems somewhat unlikely, I'm afraid. Another triple threat from TNA's archive is filed under X for XXX. Or Triple X. The fallen angel Christopher Daniels is featured several times throughout the trailer, as is Low-Ki making his grumpy walk to the ring, and of course Eli Skipper's legendary walking Frankensteiner off the 6 sides of steel back at Turning Point 2004. They freebirded as tag champions early in TNA's history, but were forced to disband after losing said high-stakes cage match. Of course, they would reunite a few years later though. It's wrestling. I can't see a Triple X reunion going down on this occasion though, I'm afraid. Each member's Mercury is a bit different. Eli Skipper is cold. He's now retired, working in a job away from the Graps. Low-Ki is lukewarm. He's doing the odd indie date, so I guess he could be ready if needed. Whilst Christopher Daniels reads hot. He has the most focus in the trailer. Plus, he excelled as a single star in TNA, more so than the other two. So a solo showing wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility. There's no I in team though, but there is an A in Team Canada, eh? It's a Canada thing. It's a little joke. Team Canada! And amongst all the action of that 90-second commercial for this weekend's body-slamming birthday bonanza, we saw Scott D'Amore in Canadian colours waving the maple leaf. He was the leader of the whole group, comprising of guys like P.C. Williams, Johnny Devine, A1, Bobby Roode, and the top contender for the Impact World Championship this weekend, Eric Young. There were other people that came through the troupe as well, with numerous World X Cups, like Tyson Dukes, Teddy Hart, and good old Ruffy Silverstein. You remember him. And they picked up tag and X gold during their extended run in TNA as well. The thermometer is a Canadian red for a Team Canada appearance. Scott D'Amore coming out in a tracksuit for a bit, along with an assortment of past and present Canadian cohorts, will be a fun nod to the group, and one I almost definitely see happening since Scott D'Amore is so intrinsically involved with Impact these days. From Canada to Team 3Dville. Bully Ray and Devon, multi-time World Tag Team Champions, had memorable wars with Team Canada during the TNA years. However, in the trailer, the former duds are highlighted through Bully Ray's powerbombing of Dixie Carter through a table in the Hammerstein Ballroom as Brother Devon watches on. Those bombs going off would surely elicit a reaction almost as loud as that pop from the New York lot when Whistling Dixie got wood. However, this one is cold on our scale, with Brother Devon stepping away from all in-ring stuff and working behind the scenes with WWE. I can't envision Team 3D turning up on the ramp and putting a plywood punctuation mark on a Slammiversary event. Of course, Bully Ray is a former TNA champion, a belt he won whilst leading TNA's Sons of Melancholy Aces and Eights into a weird war. Despite that, I do not see Bully turning up on his Todd on this occasion. He'll be honoured in another way, but certainly not with an appearance, I don't think. Another tag team guy that found gold and glory in total non-stop action was featured in the trailer. Former NWA champion Christian Cage. Now, WWE didn't see Jay Riso as top tier, and TNA were keen to prove otherwise. He was pushed immediately at the behest of company originals, which concerned a fair amount of fans, presenting TNA as inferior to WWE. I mean, their Intercontinental champion could reduce their homegrown star AJ Styles to a simpering errand boy. Christian put a shift in, don't get me wrong. His recent return as Impact champion ended too soon for many, with hopes that he'd stay a little longer and bring some people up the right way. Now, despite the positive impression he left last time, Christian is cold on our thermometer to pop the peeps this weekend. Christian is clearly in the midst of a bubbling story in AEW with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, so this brief tour of duty would move against his current movements. Whilst it would be classic in an instant, doesn't seem like Cage will rage at Slammiversary. Okay, since we're on the subject of other company guys that squash the homegrown talent, let's talk about Main Event Mafia. We get a shot in the trailer of Kevin Nash, Booker T, Charmelle and Kurt Angle all giving a big cheers to glasses in a luxurious private locker room. They, along with Scott Steiner, Sting, and later Samoa Joe and Taz, leaned into the entitlement of the ex-Fed bunch and formed the Main Event Mafia in 2008. They ran roughshod over TNA, who formed the coalition group The Frontline to attempt to see them off. However, like with its oft compared previous, the NWO, it became watered down and never really got a satisfactory conclusion, did it? They merged with Eric Young's World Elite before disbanding, and they came back all silver and black NWO style with Magnus and Rampage Jackson randomly to see off the overbearing faction of the year Aces and Eights. Now, we've already seen Kurt Angle's scale go down to freezing point, but let's take a look at the other original blend of Main Event Mafia and contemplate a coordinated comeback for the kayfabe capitalist consortium. Now, Booker T and Charmelle are on the cold on the scale. In an interview, Booker T said that his TNA run felt like a vacation. He'd spend much of his time as possible on the rides at Universal when the show was filmed. So I doubt he's that arsed now he can't get free tickets to go on the Hulk ride when he's had his match. Kevin Nash is also cold as well, like Booker. I'm pretty sure he's chill with popping his head round the door. I don't see Kevin Nash turning up. Scott Steiner, however, is a fine wine that's registering room temperature. Scott Steiner's comeback doesn't need to have the MEM aesthetic. He made his own legacy as TNA/Impact's resident freaky uncle. He was battering Bobby Lashley in a Falls Count Anywhere match. He reunited with the dog-faced dad of Bron Breakker and, of course, Steiner maths. He's a genetic freak, and he has a 66 2/3 chance of popping up for some mental arithmetics at Slammiversary. How about Sting, though? Now, he was around long before the Main Event Mafia was even a thing. Even before Scott Steiner was in TNA, he rocked up as the cure for the NWA's cancer that was Jeff Jarrett. He took the world title from him in 2002. He had 9 years as an active competitor for total non-stop action, a run that was vastly superior to his ill-fated, long-awaited dance in McMahon land, which saw his time in Impact knocked the moment he turned up when commentators claimed nobody had seen Sting in a decade. Harsh. Sting's having a renaissance in AEW, working tag team matches with Darby Allin, which makes me think maybe we could see him hit some Stinger splashes at Slammiversary. The meter reads the icon in the middle at lukewarm. If he does rock up, it could be anywhere from a quick hello on the ramp to a hot tag in the Impact Originals match, as I think with his time served, he more than qualifies as an original there, despite the fact that we see him in many other guises. He feels like a TNA guy. Now let's spin off to another section of superstars from TNA's back catalogue. Whilst it's proved to be a springboard for stars to make a proud, powerful play elsewhere, the initials LAX are recognised as important letters in TNA history. We catch a glimpse of those that started the journey for the Latin American exchange, that being Homicide and Hernandez, stood alongside Hector Guerrero in the trailer. They are multi-time tag champs in TNA and Impact, and brought an anarchy to the tag team division in 2005 onwards. Both would pursue solo runs, and new names would be brought into the fold, but the trailer focuses on the two that started it all alongside Conan. Now, Hernandez left Impact back in February, and Homicide is now applying his trade for NWA as World Junior Heavyweight Champion at time of recording. But for one night, might we see a piece of TNA history reunite under the LAX flag? This is a lukewarm reading too. TNA own the LAX name, and it's one of those pieces of history that they built from the ground up on a show that celebrates the legacy of total non-stop action. Including as many as your IPs as possible in one way or another isn't a bad thing. We've got a good chance of seeing Homicide and Hernandez running it back as LAX, and just as much chance as Santana and Ortiz joining them for a big family get-together that will probably end with a fight. From a welcome return that could happen to a welcome return that did happen. Christy Hemme got featured briefly in our tease for Slammiversary. Nothing too wild, just her walking down to the ring and smiling. We saw her back on Impact TV not too long ago. This time, she wasn't setting random jobber tag teams on the Voodoo Kid Mafia, nor necking on with Lance Archer. She appeared to induct Awesome Kong into the Impact Hall of Fame, but worked behind the scenes on production too, helping guide the show throughout. Hemme is hot to make an appearance this weekend, as somebody who in the company there's been a lot of respect for and a lot of faith in. I can very much see her brought out to possibly guest ring announce the Knockouts Queen of the Mountain match. If you're making history, it's worth having one of the first knockouts there for it as well. From an early knockout to an early adopter of the X Division style, we saw Amazing Red briefly pop up in the trailer. Didn't see any of the high-flying fury that he became synonymous for, but he was very obviously placed near the end of the video. He had the X Division title 3 times, even got a kayfabe brother in Crimson during his time, and we see recently that even after a year away, Amazing Red is evergreen, with matches against the likes of Will Ospreay. Red by name, red by nature. He's hot on the thermometer for an energetic return. Josh Alexander, in his interview with us for Desert Island Graps, even name drops Amazing Red as somebody that inspired the X Division. And there's an Ultimate X match that could very easily see an amazing shoehorn in and show out on. Just putting that out there. One person who leaped out at me in the trailer, or rather pounced out at me, was the alpha male Monty Brown. The briefest of appearances in the trailer got a lot of hopes up. One of a handful of homegrown early NWA TNA guys that felt organically like a future star. One that, despite all the optics, never got a run as world champion in that company. He crossed the line to WWE to be part of the new breed of ECW, and then after a lackluster bit of bluster as Marcus Corvan, he just vanished into thin air. Until he rocked the world with a promo on AEW Dynamite in 2020. I can't lead with my head on this one. I'm going to lead with my heart. I'm going to manifest destiny. Monty Brown is hot on the scale to return at Slammiversary. He is one of modern wrestling's great anomalies, a missed opportunity who we'd love to see just blast one more pounce one more time. Period. A few quick fire ones before we get into the last few big names. Gail Kim, first ever Knockouts champion, hot for Slammiversary. She still works for Impact. There's a very good chance that she will be there. Matt Morgan, he's hot. He already turned up and he's mounting a bit of an Impact comeback. He sized up Vincent from Honor No More backstage. Could be part of the Originals tag match. Rhino, hot. Bang, he's already there, doing his thing. No doubt he'll get chance to shine like he did in the trailer, where he gored Abyss through the wall. Motor City Machine Guns, they are hot. They've been getting amongst it with Honor No More. They're at the show already, they're sorted. Eric Young, hot. He's in the flipping main event. Be weird if he wasn't hot on our scale. Chris Rock pops up in the trailer. He's cold. he's got enough going on right now without having to nip to Nashville for some wrestling. Right, 2 more to go. What a list this has been. We didn't expect this video to go as long as it did. Samoa Joe is on the trailer. We see him getting a headbutt from Kurt Angle. We see him raising the TNA World title. We see him doing that infamous senton bump in the stands that I'm surprised never smashed his back into smithereens. Joe changed the shape of the X division, literally and metaphorically, and led that championship belt into its first pay-per-view special main event, giving us an unforgettable, unbreakable moment. He moved into the world title scene and gave us a match against Kurt Angle that turned all the heads. Admittedly, the feud got a little weird after that, but Joe's place in TNA history is assured, something that not even a fleet of weird ninjas can take away. Samoa Joe is very much hot to rock up at Slammiversary, now part of the soon-to-be rebooted Ring of Honor, reimagined by Tony Khan. There is an opportunity here to showcase somebody who'll be a cornerstone of that promotion's reboot by giving him a well-deserved homecoming. And finally, when we talk about homecomings in TNA wrestling, there is one more to talk about that would be simply phenomenal. AJ Styles is all over this trailer. In fact, the last shot we see before Josh Alexander shuts the box is of Styles leaning against the ropes like he's ready to fight on old turf. What can we say about AJ Styles in TNA? He's a Grand Slam winner. He's done it all. He's faced everybody. He's weathered some rough waters in that time too. That time when he was Christian's stooge. That time he was being rebooted as a Ric Flair tribute. The whole AJ Styles Dixie Carter affair. But away from all of that, he is every part the embodiment of what TNA wrestling and Impact Wrestling is built upon. There is nobody. He is Mr. TNA. Josh Alexander, the Impact Wrestling champion, said just that to me on Desert Island Grabs. Now, WWE borrowed Mickie James for the Royal Rumble, and the smoothness of that relationship leads many to believe that there is a return favour owed by WWE for Impact. Some we've talked about here today. Of all of them, of all of the ones we've talked about, AJ Styles is unquestionably hot on the thermometer for an Impact Wrestling one-night comeback. The way it ended was a little rough on all sides, with a real dissatisfaction with management bleeding onto the screen, not unlike stuff we've seen lately. Not only would AJ Styles marching to the ring to the iconic I Am blaring out become a real Impact Wrestling WTF moment, sorry Ross, but it would allow AJ Styles to go out the right way and exercise a demon in the process. Outwalk Styles, grabs the microphone, reunited with the Good Brothers, gives Johnny Swinger a phenomenal forearm on his way out. Boom, happy Slammiversary, one and all. And to all, good night. What other surprises will cross the line at Impact Slammiversary 2022? Why not let me know in the comments below? Stay safe and love you, bye.